Hey, yo, the Sports Back Bros podcast is back again, coming off of a pretty big weekend of sports. We got off last Thursday, and we know the Boston Celtics were able to go to Dallas and, well, not win, not do what they were supposed to have done over there in Dallas. Dallas blew them the hell out of the freaking water. But that wasn't just it. The fight, which turned out to be a pretty decent fight, happened this Saturday as well, as Tank Davis took on Frank Martin, got the devastating KO in the process. And David Benavidez was able to show up at 175 pounds and, well, take care of his business. Not in David Benavidez' Mexican monster way, but he took care of business nonetheless. So now we get to that. What's going on?
What's happening? Got game 5 tonight. See if the Celtics respond. We'll get to that, but Tank Davis did what Tank does. Frank Martin was given a good account of himself. It kind of went to how I thought it would go. Javante being out of the ring over a year, I thought he'd be rusty.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's usually a slow starter anyway. And Frank Martin did get out to a quick start. But around 5 or 6, he started getting caught on the ropes in the corner. You do not want to be there against Javante Tank Davis, and it was his downfall.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the comments on all of these videos that have happened after the fight, and you hear some of the most idiotic comments of saying, well, all he had to do was fight 4 more rounds. He'd have been the new champ. Bro, it's scheduled 12 rounds, and he didn't make the 12th round. That completely invalidates what you're saying. What he had to do, hell, that dude would have just waited 8 more rounds doing what he was doing against Floyd. Floyd would be undefeated. But it went 12 rounds, and we saw how it ended up.
If he would have done 11 rounds against Costa Zoo.
For real, that's true. The way he fought that first round, the next 11 rounds, you thought, hell, he just has to keep it up, which is unrealistic. But this is what we get in boxing groups and people who call you a casual for not agreeing with crap like that. But you know what? Frank Martin showed that he is an elite fighter. He showed that he deserved to be there. His skill set, I love his skill set. His footwork, the footwork is awesome. It's just that it comes down to a point to where there is one guy who's better than the other guy. And that's what it came down to. It wasn't just the power. Tank was able to walk him down. Well, it was the power, but Tank was able to walk him down, was able to process what he was doing. Both southpaws. So that was another thing that people don't give Tank a lot of credit for, the boxing IQ. He walked him down, took the shots, got his distance together, knew how to measure him up, because that 14 months was an issue. He had to get back into the groove. People thought that he would just be rusty. I don't know if he showed the rust. I just think he did what he had to do to come up to speed with what was going on before he had to put the pedal to the metal, which started around the 4th or 5th round. And we saw what Frank Martin wasn't able to do, what he was able to do in the first 3, almost 4 rounds.
Yeah, Martin, like I said, he gave a good account of himself.
Mm-hmm.
You can see he definitely has really good boxing skills.
Yes.
You mentioned his footwork. He has an educated jab. He's got quick hands. He just didn't have enough power to get Tank's respect to make him think twice. He was coming in pretty much with his hands down. Just totally no respect for his power. And for a guy like Tank with his skill set and his power, if you can't keep him off you, you're in trouble. And you talk about people saying he only needed to keep it up 4 more rounds. That's totally ridiculous. He didn't even make it to the championship rounds. I mean,
exactly, man.
If he made it to the 11th round, then I could see maybe coming up with that type of argument. But he didn't even make it to the 10th. Come on now. But you got to give Tank credit, because he mentioned he was rusty, but he didn't just pack it up like, oh, man, this ain't my night. This dude, he's quick. He moves well. No, he was coming like, I refer to Michael Myers a lot. He was coming like there's no stopping him. And even with that good footwork, Tank would run to cut him off, to cut off the ring. Like, you're not getting away from me. I'm on you. And eventually he caught him.
Tank is about that defense. Tank is about that offense. In fact, he has underrated defense, I guess, naturally against orthodox fighters. He's a southpaw, so naturally an orthodox fighter has that kind of advantage because their natural stance is almost defensive to start with. But as far as he had gone, he saw what was happening in front of him, And like he said, he let him punch himself out because as sharp as Frank Martin was, as good as he was doing, as well as he was doing with that right jab out there, kind of coming with the left hand and kind of not going to the body as much, but the way he looked, the way he moved around, you knew it had to weigh on him because I was like, man, Tank is cutting him off and Tank is, kind of letting him know he's still there when he countered him on occasion. Frank countered him too, pretty hard sometimes. So Frank got some respect with that punching power. But I think all that time that Tank had to walk him down and feel the power or feel it on his gloves or anytime in close, because he said at the press fight conference, man, this was a strong guy on the inside. I guess that wrestling background he had was helpful, kind of like what Bud has, the wrestling background. Mm-hmm. But you ultimately wear down. And then there was a reason why Tank was able to pick it up in the 4th round. And I remember reading about someone saying that all he had to do was do what he did through the entire fight up until then. He couldn't continue to do that because Tank changed what he was doing. Tank went from walking him down, getting him tired, making a move, to now realizing, okay, this is not the same guy from the 1st round as he is right now in the 4th round or 5th round. So now he started to pick it up. Then he came with the hands down. And now he starts baiting you in there. And Frank himself says, yo, he's a slick fighter, man. He caught me with the upper, but he just didn't see it. And this is the guy you don't want to be in the ring with, not seeing what he's throwing.
Yeah, for sure. Throughout history, they always say the punch that hurts you is the one you don't see.
Yep.
And Tank, he seems to do that often. When he landed on Leo Santa Cruz, he didn't see it. The first knockdown against Ryan Garcia, he didn't see it. He's very economical with his punches. We talked about how calm he stays in the ring. Yeah. Even though Garcia's going crazy, it looks like Tank's under fire, but he's under control and he sees the opening and bam, Garcia's on the canvas. He just has a knack for landing punches that guys do not see coming.
And I think it's him keeping his poise like he does. It has a lot to do with his extensive amateur career, over 220, I think it is, amateur fights that he's had. And now all these pro fights he's had, now his 30th fight this past Saturday, you get used to being in that circumstance. You get used to kind of keeping yourself calm and not really jumping the gun when things are even going bad. That's part of the experience factor. Now Frank Martin has somewhat of that experience factor in his young career. I think he's still going to become a champ eventually one day. But in any event, man, Tank, now does this make Tank the face of boxing? I'm still looking at Canelo because he's the elder statesman. He's been around for a while and everyone knows him. People now are getting to know Tank a little bit more. But now after this fight, Paulie Malignaggi said this is probably his best performance he's ever seen him. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, I thought the Leo Santa Cruz fight might have been because Santa Cruz is skilled. I think this might be true. This might be his best fight that he's had.
Could be. Oh, man, I forgot what I was going to say. But is he the face of boxing? That's going to be subjective. You talk to 10 people, 8 of them will say yes. You talk to another 10 people, 8 of those people will say no. It's subjective, but he's definitely up there. We have to wait and see what the numbers are. But, he's had several pay-per-view fights, big events. So, yeah, he's definitely one of the top dogs. And he should be mentioned in pound-for-pound conversations as well.
Without a question. I don't think number one, because I think, between Usyk, Inoue, and Crawford, they can kind of be interchangeable only because of inactivity in Crawford's case. But they can kind of interchangeable in that top 3. But Tank now doing what he's done, definitely in the pound-for-pound rankings, and the way he's going about it with the KO. KOs is what people want, whether you're a big heavyweight or a smaller fighter. If you're putting down the KOs and they're spectacular like this last one we just saw, or the ones that we saw against Leo Santa Cruz, people are going to take notice. People want to see that.
That's the thing about Tank. Usually down there, 130, 135, you get knockouts, but not like guys getting stretched repeatedly like Tank does. But I just remember I was going to say that uppercut, it was kind of like a cross uppercut, not like the
upper hook they call it.
Yeah, it wasn't a classic uppercut. Didn't even see like he threw it that hard. The left hand that put him out, he threw that one hard for sure. But the one, it seemed like it was just kind of like muscle memory, not like, oh, this is the shot I'm gonna get him. You know what I'm saying? Because once he saw he had him hurt, then he hit him with the brick hand. that one was definitely hard, but not like the Santa Cruz one. That uppercut he landed on him, that one was lethal. But
he
it just,
spilled him out. I mean, he just
yeah,
took the life out of him with that shot.
it was scary. And this one, we talked about, or Frank Martin said he didn't see it. I have to believe him because I don't think he even threw it that hard.
No,
he didn't look that hard.
That finishing shot with that left hand really puts him out of it. If you look at the boxer's glove and you know what the padding inside the glove and then the way the hands are wrapped, man, it's there to protect your knuckles. And he just put everything. He even put everything into it, but he perfectly placed the punch, because that's another thing that Frank Martin had said, that he's real precise. And part of being precise most times is when you are pretty economical with your punches, you think and put more thought behind your punches you throw. So chances are, if you're a top professional like he is, it's probably going to be more accurate than someone who just, Paul Williams, just threw a whole bunch of punches and he could hit you hard. He just threw a whole lot of punches though. Just a whole bunch of punches, and ultimately got you out of there if you was getting out of there. But Tank, as it stands right now, what's left for him? Now they're saying Lomachenko, and I know what Paulie Malignaggi said. Now you calling out Lomachenko. He's 36 years old. Before, when he handled the belt, you never called him out. You never mentioned his name. Now you want to call out an old man. How long is he going to be an old man while he's still doing what he's doing?
I don't know. I see Paulie's point, though. Really, the only one that really fought him was Teo. Haney fought him, but that was after he lost. And then a lot of people say Loma beat him, and there was no talk of a rematch. He didn't want that smoke again.
Well, as it turns out now, with Tank being that guy, I think that if you want to look at Loma and say that Loma is the guy that he's picking on because he's an older guy, even though he does have that name. Hell, Muhammad Ali still had a name when Trevor Berbick fought him in his last fight. So it doesn't really matter. The name is on the resume. You can make as much as you want about it. And in the boxing community, that's exactly what they do. They make it seem like he was in the prime. But the only fight that makes sense in terms of just looking at a prime fighter or someone ascending to their prime is Shakur Stevenson. And even though those two have kind of bickered and they know that their fight will be a big fight, I don't think Shakur is known more by the general public to really get that payday that Tank thinks he deserves now, because now he looks at himself as the face of boxing, and he calls himself, and he wants that money that he thinks the face of boxing should get, like Canelo had gotten, and before that, Floyd had gotten.
That's true. I think another good fight would be him and Teo, but you get different promotions. You're talking Top Rank, or is he retired? I can't remember. Is he unretired?
He's back. Yeah, right. He's back. He couldn't go back.
Top Rank. What's going on there? Teo brings a lot to the table. Brings a big name. He's been in big fights. So that's another big fight. Haney needs to take some time off after that beating, so I wouldn't put him in the ring with Tank anytime soon.
No, I would put Haney against somebody that's like a safe opponent, because I still think the damage is already done. Regardless,
let him rematch Prograis.
Against who?
Give Prograis a rematch.
Yeah, right. To see exactly where he's at, because Prograis got lit up and that was it. But to see exactly where he's at, give Prograis a rematch. Likely not going to happen, because it wouldn't be a money fight anyway. And, Haney was another one of those young bucks saying he wants to be boxing's first billionaire, when everyone claiming Floyd's a billionaire when he wasn't a billionaire in the boxing ring in terms of the money he had gotten. His pay-per-views all total may have gone over $1 billion, but his earnings in the ring had never gone over $1 billion. I don't know where the hell people are getting this from. I don't know why they don't do their research, just get on the internet and find out exactly, not necessarily exactly because it's approximate, but use your freaking brain and see that he did it. Nevertheless, even if it's $500 million, bro, the dude's doing better than probably most boxers, if not every boxer to ever have lived. But either way, Tank's now the guy. And we can move a little bit now to David Benavidez, who also fought on the co-main event. Looked good in terms of skill, man. You know what? I don't think he gets enough credit for his skills. And he got a chance to really show his skills. Had an injured hand, still chose to fight. Now, if he would have lost, that hand would have been the reason. We'd have heard a lot more about it. But he showed his skill. Power didn't travel, but you can still attribute that probably to the hurt hand.
Well, you mentioned his skills. I noticed it too. He showed better defense for one.
Yep.
He was parrying a lot of shots. I didn't notice him doing that as much in the past. Um, he did a better job defensively. I don't know about the hand. Which hand was it? Because he landed some good shots with both hands, and homeboy
He's
didn't
talking
go
about a
anywhere.
torn ligament somewhere in the hand. So, bro, that's toughing it out. If that's the truth, and if he doesn't fight anytime soon because he has to rehab it, but if that is true, man, he was still putting down some pretty tough shots going
I
against a
didn't like.
very oh.
I didn't like he was trying to Roy Jones left hook over and over. He kept missing it. Bro, you're not Roy Jones.
Who the hell else is in Roy in his prime at least? But Benavidez didn't show how sharp he was. He was pretty sharp. The one glaring thing about him, I think, was going from 168 to 175, put that extra weight on him. I said it before the fight. I think we talked about it on Thursday. I said, man, he looked good inside his jumpsuit when he was going out there. They had that pre-fight thing they were doing. And then when he gets to the ring, he does look a little thicker, but he also got tired later in the fight. And I think that had more to do with the weight, extra weight on him, doing that little test drive with the extra weight than it had to do with him just not being in condition.
Yeah, it could have been, but also he was throwing a lot of big punches, and like I said, homeboy didn't go nowhere, and
Tough fighter, man.
That would tire you out as well.
Yep, and you know what? Aside from that, moving pivot from that, another boxing match that I saw a few times, but I completely ignored it because I just expected the ending to be exactly what the other endings had done. Well, it was Matias, the freaking junior welterweight, lost his belt. What the hell? That Australian dude came in and beat him, and he beat him convincingly in Puerto Rico, his hometown. I was expecting a freaking hometown decision, even though it looked like it was so one-sided. And he won. Oh, yo, craziness. So now, who we thought was he's 20, he was 21 and 20 knockouts. So that's why I looked at it. I'm like, okay, I see the fight up there. All right, but I think it's going to be pretty, whatever. The ending is going to be pretty obvious. And it wasn't. He was outboxed, and he ended up losing his belt. In Puerto Rico, that was the most surprising thing. Because sometimes when you go to someone else's house, especially a place like Puerto Rico, which is just rich with boxing, or if you go down to Mexico, which is rich with boxing.
The house fighter gets the first 5 rounds.
Exactly. They already filled out the scorecard, and now we got to catch up. You know what I mean? And he won. I mean, he definitively won going by the eyeball test. And I was still like, I've seen boxing so many times for all these decades, and he could still lose the decision. When they said his name and it had it unanimous like it was, I was shocked. I was happy for him because he was able to go and do it. Tough dude, got himself a belt, man. He's really in the mix. Tough fighter, great conditioning. That's what got him there.
Yeah, I missed that one. I didn't see it, so I can't really comment. But as far as bogus decisions, we've seen them throughout the years, and I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you talk about the home, and they don't even care about. They know that the fans see it one way, but you know what? You go to Puerto Rico, you have those rabid boxing fans. They can see exactly what we're seeing. They're hoping for the best because they know the decision could go against their guy. And if he would have gotten it, they'd have roared, they would have booed. Now, I've seen times like when the Drunken Monkey had lost one time. You remember the Drunken, what's the name of the boxer? What's the name? Emmanuel Burton. When he fought up in
Drunken Master, not Monkey.
Drunken Master, Drunken Monkey, like a freaking kung fu movie. Drunken Master. Emmanuel Burton went up to Detroit one time, and he schooled the young buck, man, undefeated cat. They booed, he loses, they booed the decision. His home crowd, the dude's home crowd booed the decision. They had a rematch and then he wins, but they at least were honest enough with themselves to say, you know what, he's our dude, but come on, man, we see a robbery here, and they gave it to him. And so they made him fight again. But anyways, yeah, man, I was surprised that it happened in Puerto Rico. We have a new champ out at 140 pounds, and now he's thrown into the fray with everybody else, like Tio. And if Gervonta Davis, Tank Davis is going to move up, he's going to have to move up to make those fights happen. And then you still have Shakur, who's going to get bigger. Shakur Stevenson's going to get bigger. He's not staying at 135. He's going to grow to 140 and ultimately 147 and 154. But that fight, I think, needs to marinate a little longer. Something Angelo Dundee was talking about when Hearns and Leonard were getting together. Let it marinate a little longer. I think this one needs a little bit of marination as well.
Yeah. So who do you think Shakur can fight to build up his name and status and everything to get that fight with Tank?
If he's going to move up, I think Pitbull would have been the guy to move up against at 140. If he's going to move up, because he was talking about moving up. Now, I can't stay at 135, he says, but Pitbull would have been a good head to try to go after, because Pitbull, as tenacious as he is so limited And for a guy who has the conditioning and the mental fortitude to stay in there with him, move around, knowing that he's going to continue to come and just pot shot him, because he doesn't deal with footwork very well. And that would be a guy that he could at least get a belt from and get people to recognize him with a belt from a guy like that. Better than it would have been with Rolly. He fights a guy
and plus, if he beats him more convincingly than Tank, then he can
exactly use that
to his cap.
And I understand people want to say that, well, Tank was injured. That's part of boxing. Dudes fight injured. Floyd Mayweather had that shoulder issue before the first Castillo fight. People still using that as, well, Castillo beat him. Guess what? He probably did. The judges may have gotten it wrong. It was a close-ass fight from what I saw. But in any event,
there's no mayhem about it.
Who?
There's no mayhem about it.
Yeah, exactly. There's no mayhem about it. I'm looking at it. So I saw it, man. Other than that, there's only one time I ever wanted that Floyd really win a fight, and that was that first Maidana fight. When I watched that fight, I was like, yo, bro, this dude probably caught that L, man. And then the scorecards came out like, oh, snap, all right, he got away with one. But when you really look at these judges only have one time to look at the fight. We could kind of check it out a second time, like, okay, now we can see where it came from. No, you have one shot only to judge this fight. And, well, they had closer view, different angles on the view, and they took Floyd in that fight, and the rematch pretty much spoke for itself. So that puts a lid on the boxing, and now we have Bud coming up. I heard there was a story, by the way, of Bud and Canelo now allegedly agreeing. I don't know when the date may happen, but Canelo now says, yeah, I think I will fight him now after saying I won't fight him.
I saw he gave the okay for his team to negotiate that fight is what I saw.
Exactly. And Bud, you know what? Bud's one of those dudes, I believe, a little bit like James Toney. Do you realize in James Toney's career, you rarely heard about money being the reason why he didn't fight or fought somebody? I don't ever remember him saying, yo, you got to have the money to get me in the ring. It's just that they went to the negotiation table. He was like, bet, that's good enough. Went in there and fought. Won, lost, draw. He went in there. You rarely heard about him talking about, yo, the money got to be right for me to get in there. He just talked his other kind of crap before he went in there. And now we're seeing kind of the same thing.
Burger King.
With Burger King.
You don't remember the Burger King interview?
Oh, no.
After one of his fights, they're asking him what's next. He's like,
Burger King. When he was saying got milk, he was saying the got milk first. I think y'all know he was saying Burger King. Yeah, well, we know we can see where it came from because his weight has always been a problem throughout his entire career until he became a heavyweight. It still became a freaking problem. You're a heavyweight, no limit. Your weight is still a problem. But I remember that after the Euro fight, Vasily Juro fight, he was like, yeah, got milk. He just says any damn thing. Got milk, where that come from, man?
And that's a fight I didn't expect him to win, man. But he picked Juro apart.
Bro, and he took some serious punches. He tried to act like he wasn't hurt. Juro went to that body. He was getting it. You could hear it, man. Juro was pounding on him. But as far as Crawford going in terms of the money, man, I never really heard him say too much about, yo, the money's got to be right for me to do this. He just says, hey, man, the terms are good. Let's roll. That's it. And we've already seen it now. If the terms are well, he's even able to take that B-side money and still do what he has to do. Against Canelo, he is the B-side, money-wise.
What happens if, let's say, Canelo gets $100 million to fight Terrence Crawford? Benavidez going to say, you're only taking $100 to fight him, but you want $200 to fight me?
Yep. Well, I think the writing is on the wall, and I think the consensus idea of what's going on between that fight, people kind of see it. I don't like to say fighters are scared, man. I rarely say that because this is the life they chose. Most people don't do what they're doing, and I think management companies and promoters are more afraid than the fighters themselves. You know what I mean? But Canelo, man, because ultimately, if he gets $200 million, guess what? He's fighting him. You know what I mean? He's going to fight him. So, that takes care of that fear part of people who are saying it. But man, I just can't see Canelo being afraid. I just don't like that he's not fighting him. I'm trying to find any other reason under the sun for why he's not fighting him. But then you get a guy 2 or 3 weight classes lower, and you want to fight him after fight another guy who was a bunch of weight classes lower.
Right.
Once again, I'm not going to call him scared, man, but he's not as willing a participant to fight the very, very best, which is right in front of him, whether it's Morrell or Benavidez.
I feel like I haven't given out a couple fingers in a while, so here you go. That's for Canelo. Let's get to the basketball.
Yeah, let's get to the basketball for real. Last Thursday, I think we kind of saw that it could be a possible throwaway game for the Celtics. They probably want to bring it back home today, which is Monday, Game 5, to close it out in front of the home crowd. It makes a lot of sense. It wouldn't be the first time. I don't think a team had admitted they've done it deliberately, but you can tell by the way they played, it might have been the way. When you get blown out by more than 40 points against a team you pretty much handled the entire time up until that point, and you have a chance to close it right there, you can see. And then you have the coaches saying when it came down to Porzingis, well, he's ready for Game 4 if he's needed. When you're 30 points down, he might have been needed. When you're 15 down, he might have been needed. But you know what? They was like, yo, we know what we're doing, man. We'll let him sit, come home. We'll let him play tonight.
Maybe they have him do the Willis Reed thing tonight. Just come in, be on the court. Because if you think about it, everybody thinks Willis Reed came in and saved the series. I think he had like 4 points. Like he didn't even have a great game.
It was the spirit,
presence.
His presence exactly
took him over the top. Maybe the same can be said for Porzingis. I don't know, but as a Boston fan, I would be very disappointed. Like they gave no resistance. They just got punked. Like a bully showed up and they're like, oh, okay, we just go back home. And now you got Tatum is one of the biggest Kobe fans out there, worked out with Kobe, has no Mamba mentality whatsoever.
None.
Says, well, if we don't win tonight, we got 2 more games, not the end of the world.
No way.
Can you imagine if Kobe was still alive? Kobe would have called his ass, man, what's your problem, man? Everything I taught you, that's your mentality? What the fuck is wrong with you? And I know that ain't Drew Holiday's mentality. It definitely ain't Jaylen Brown's mentality. But for Jason Tatum to be a superstar in this league and not have that killer mentality, like you gotta end this series as soon as possible. You don't want to go back to Dallas in Game 6, and then if you lose that one, you don't want to be playing Game 7, man. Having lost 3 in a row, you got to end it tonight.
And he's played like that, though. He's played like he doesn't really have that dog in him. Now, it looks like he was trying to show it, but then even so, Jaylen Brown still ended up getting the 30 points and outshining him in that instance. So he had not taken the lead like he's supposed to have taken the lead. I don't think anyone really was looking for Jaylen Brown to be the guy to kind of lead the team. And not only that, get the Eastern Conference, the MVP, the Eastern Conference championship. They weren't expecting that. Now, when it really matters, I thought Jason Tatum, come on, now all eyes are on you. We're not looking at other games and kind of looking at you along the way in the periphery. We're looking at you right now. We're seeing everything, all eyes on you in Boston, in Dallas, all over the country, maybe all over the world. And you expect him to assert himself to being that franchise player that he thinks he is, that he says he is, and that the rest of his team thought he was when they gave him that contract. And he's saying things like that, not going after the kill. And now he's saying, you know what, I'm not looking forward. Now he's saying a good thing, I guess, if you look at it from a team player standpoint. I don't really care about being an MVP. And he mentioned other players who didn't get MVP. He only got 1 MVP out of all the times he went to a championship. He only got 2 out of all the times he went to a championship. I would just be happy to get the championship. I really wouldn't care about the MVP.
To me, that sounds like loser talk, man. I'm sorry.
Exactly what it does.
So, like when they asked Giannis a couple years ago, is the season a failure? Instead of just answering the question, he's like, well, how many times did Michael win? He only won 6. Was he a failure the rest of the seasons? And Magic Johnson didn't win it every year. Was he a failure? Answer the damn question, man. No, of course nobody's going to win it every year. But come on, your season was a failure. People were talking possible dynasty, and you haven't been back to the finals since. Yep. And now Tatum, it seems he has that same mentality. Like, I don't know if it's the timeout generation or the woke thinking or DEI, whatever it is, diversity. You know what I'm saying?
Equity and inclusion.
All that. It's just weak-minded to me, man. And Jaylen Brown, it's like I think he's seeing what the whole world is seeing. Like, well, he ain't the alpha dog. I'm gonna be the
I
alpha
gotta
dog.
show it. Yep.
Right. And if you remember a couple years ago, he was in trade talks.
I heard.
And
Yeah.
he even
Yep.
tweeted like the big eyes, like, what the hell? Why am I in trade talks? And now looking at it now, if let's say they're both free agents the same year and they can't sign both of them, Tatum's the one getting
It looks like it should be. And I don't know what the heck has happened because he has the talent to do it, man. But he hasn't been playing with that aggressiveness and that takeoverness that you want from a player of his stature or supposed stature. I'm starting to question now. What is his stature after all? Is he good being a Robin to now Jaylen Brown's Batman? That's not the way it was supposed to have been. I guess the start of the metamorphosis is about to occur.
I'm not sure what's up with his shot, but his shooting has been terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost to the point where he's got to stop shooting threes, unless he's absolutely wide open. Because a lot of them, they're contested. But if it's not wide open, I would advise him to either drive and dish or drive and go try and finish. But he's been missing layups too. So
bro,
I'm not sure what's going on with Jason Tatum. He's got to get to that point in his mind, the effort mentality, and just go out and play. You know, maybe he's thinking about past failures, or he hears the chatter. Is he the best player on the team, or is Jaylen Brown the best player on the team? You know, all that stuff. It could be weighing on his mind. He's got to just say, effort, go out there and ball, man.
Man, real dogs just get out there and just ball, and they don't care about what people are thinking. They'll just live and die by what they do in that court. And if it's the worst performance you ever put up, man, you have to live with it. You have no choice. But if you really who you are, and we've seen him do these things before. We've seen him play very well before. It's just that you don't want to be known as this guy who now with all this pressure on with a championship on the line, Boston trying to hang their 18th banner, and you can't get it going when I think you're supposed to be the face of this franchise. And right now it isn't the case. You might as well throw 3 guys up there as faces of the franchise, including Drew Holiday. Come on.
Is it going to be a 3-way tie for MVP? Like if Porzingis comes back and does what he did in game 1,
you know what?
How do you deny him some votes for MVP?
Yep.
You know, or if Holiday has 25 and 10 again, how do you deny him votes for MVP? Jaylen Brown has 30. Like if all of that happens, who's your MVP?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because I'm thinking tonight should be the last night. This game 5 in Boston in front of the home crowd. Now, if Jason Tatum finally stands up for this last game, it'll take the heat off of him going into next season. Everybody will be euphoric because of the championship. But hey, let's not forget about how Luka looked in that game playing freaking defense. Who the hell is he?
Hey, I told you, effort goes a long way. It's not like he was shutting people down, but the effort made a difference.
No, he was in the way. He was in the way and stayed in the way sometimes.
The turnstile was locked.
Bro, and I was impressed with freaking Luka, his defense, man. See, and it's a bad testament because when he puts in the effort, well, you see, even as a big-bodied guy, because he's bigger than he was early in the season, he was able to make some things happen. He was showing that effort going for block shots as well. I mean, he wasn't making it comfortable for people to just shoot in front of him or blow past him like they were doing throughout the series so far. He put out that effort and still kept his end of the bargain on the offensive side. You know, he and Kyrie, I mean, he was definitely the lead dog, but he and Kyrie still showing up and doing what they have to do to keep the team in it in front of the home crowd for game 4. Does that translate over? Does he now give up that energy from defense now that he's back on the road? Is that something that's going to stay at least for the rest of the series if tonight isn't the end of the series?
Well, I think it worked out in their favor that the Celtics mailed it in. He didn't have to play the fourth quarter, right? So he got to rest. Whereas if it was a closer game and he had to play the fourth quarter, we would have been able to see, could he play an entire game, both ends of the floor? And tonight, I think we're going to find out.
Yeah.
We've seen other players get tired and, fatigue makes cowards of us all. I can't remember who said it, but, that's a very prominent statement in sport.
Absolutely.
So if he's fatigued down in the fourth quarter, is he going to get killed because he shoots 1 for 7 in the fourth? I don't know, but you have to put things in context. If he's playing defense, he's got 2 steals and a block, and people aren't just blowing by him at the same 59.9% rate. Maybe it's only 32%. Well, you got to understand he was putting more effort and he was tired. But we'll see what happens.
But this type of game that separates the just regular players and good players from the great players. And I think he has all the potential in the world to be a great player. And in the regular season, he showed that he can be a great player. But the legends are made in these types of situations. Coming in second place in a championship game, being the best player on the second place team doesn't necessarily get you that. And luckily, he's young enough to get into that, probably have more bites at the apple. And that's not even a guarantee because, as we talked about last week, this Dallas team doesn't look like that kind of team like you talked about. Denver looked like they could have repeated, or you could mention about Golden State looked like they could have repeated or even three-peated. This team isn't like that. It's like they just kind of stumbled in there, like surprised they're there. That unless they add some ridiculous talent, which I don't think they're going to do, it doesn't look like this is just going to be easy to get back in next year. And even if it's hard, that's even more likely that they won't be in next year.
Yeah, I'm not even sure who would be available or who they could pick up.
Yep, to be that guy.
I know Klay Thompson. He unfollowed Golden State.
I know
that earlier. I don't know if he can fit in with Dallas. But they seem to have shooters. Their shooters haven't been making shots though.
Tim Hardaway though, he showed up a little bit. He showed up when everything was out of hand. Hey, get Tim out there. Let him get a couple points out there. He went out there. He got 14 or somewhere around there.
You never know. That could help his confidence though.
And that's true.
That's happened before in the past where there have been blowouts and then someone gets some time and they get 10, 12 points. Now they're feeling good about themselves and they contribute in future games. I don't know if that's going to happen. Kyrie called the Boston a cult. I don't know if they're a cult, but I guess their fans are really rabid and they cause problems for people.
They do.
Yeah, I don't know if Hardaway's going to be able to respond to that. I don't know if Kyrie's going to be able to respond to it. He struggled in games one.
Because he's done well, but he hasn't been well. Well, he has done well, even better than I thought in some cases, but his consistency hasn't been there because he has Luka being the guy. He doesn't necessarily have to carry it on his shoulders. But, I still think there's opportunity for him, but it would be interesting to see if Tim Hardaway could be that three-point shooter. And going back a little bit to this Klay Thompson comment you made, I heard the rumor about him possibly going to Orlando, which would be an excellent move as well.
For the Magic, but for Klay?
For the Magic, for the Magic.
Do you want to go from one non-contender playing in playing games to a team that was 5th in the East?
But it's a younger team. It's a younger team.
Did you want to be a babysitter? Marcus Smart didn't want to be a babysitter.
Yeah, I know, right? But look who you had to babysit. The baby had a gun. He didn't want to be part of that, man. This baby get pissed off and get shot. You shoot him because he didn't change his diaper one time. Yeah, but I can see that though. It looks like it could go down in Orlando, man. With Orlando playing the way they've played, man, they've done some good work. And it looks like the story is that Cole Anthony may be on his way out. So I mean, like the worst kept secret. I've been hearing that for like 2 seasons, like 3 seasons. But either way, if we're talking basketball, we can't leave this basketball talk without going to the WNBA. This is what they wanted. Isn't this what they wanted? They wanted you to talk about the WNBA. Talking about the WNBA. I'm watching this game from beginning to end between the Fever and Chicago Sky. We already know Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, old college nemesis, coming back again for their second meeting this year. Man, to watch Caitlin play and see the way they're playing her, look, man, they're playing her. You know what? They're playing her legitimately because they're putting 2 or 3 people on her and making it almost impossible for her to do much of anything, and she's still getting off. But as far as Angel Reese goes, we already know the foul heard about around the world right about now. Was she going for the ball? Come on, that was WWE all the way to the point where Caitlin fell down. You can see she shook her head to kind of clear her head, like like when guys get knocked down, they shake their head like, man, that was a shot. That's what she did down there when she got hit. And then she's claiming that there's a special whistle for Caitlin, even though she was blatantly responsible.
Yeah, I think she went for the ball. Like if you look at the play, her hand was here when she started to swing, but Caitlin moved her hand too quick for her to get to the ball, and then she hit her in the head. It was definitely a flagrant. Referees called it correctly, but my issue is with her. You alluded to it. Why are you talking about the officials? I guess some people have a special whistle. You didn't whack her in the head. It wasn't a flagrant foul. But my thing is, she's trying to say all this time, me and Caitlin are cool. You know, I got no problems. She's full of shit. She's full of shit. She had no contrition. She didn't say, I hit her in the head by accident. It was not even a my bad. You know, when they asked her about it, she was like, oh, you're just going to play it 20 times now. And blah, you know, like she's victimizing herself when she committed the act. So I said it before. I can't remember when, last week, a couple of weeks ago, I'm done with Angel Reese. And the only reason she's as big a star as she is, because she's been going out with provocative clothing, showing side boobs and cleavage and legs. And, you know, she's
and then claims to be
getting a lot of attention for what she's doing off the court. Because on the court, okay, she had 11 and 10. And nobody cares. You took another L. You're 0-3 versus Caitlin this year.
And let's check this out too. You watch the game and it gives you more, context of exactly how she's going about getting her numbers. She has a field goal percentage as a forward of like 31%, 33%, somewhere around there. That's terrible for a forward.
Her shots are in the paint.
Exactly, and that's the point. If you're missing your shots in the paint, hit the backboard. And then, by the way, there was one sequence where I think she went 0 for 2 or 0 for 3 in one sequence, missing the shot, get home rebound, missing the shot, get home rebound, missing the shot, get home rebound. Bro, you padding your stats. So at the end of the day,
Malone used to do that, but he would finish.
You know what I mean? Well, she finished going the other way down the court because she still didn't make it. And these are the types of things that are happening when you get context, because, you have some stat kings out there who want to watch these games, or not even watch the games, but they want to just go by the stats. And they're talking about her double-doubles. Because, again, I saw another comparison between she and Caitlin Clark. Who's better rookie of the year right now? Who's in the rookie of the year conversation between the two right here? Even though Caitlin's obviously the one who's the better player, and we can see that, the people who are part of the Tribesmen's Council, they're looking at her and they're trying to make a case for what she's doing. She's got double-double. I'll give her the edge, but you just completely forget about that field goal percentage. And then you talk about her turnovers. If you watch that game, did you see how many passes these girls was dropping? How many times I think she gets to a point where she passes the ball, they just not there. You know what I mean? That not all the time. It happened in college as well. But she's getting some of her assists. They're not getting executed. The possible assists aren't getting executed. And so she gets the blame for it, be it. She's not complaining about it. I don't think anyone else is other than her detractors. But then she still gets 23 points. And they still close them out on the road. And this is a Chicago Sky team that was the better team last year, with most likely these two being the common denominator coming into this season. That rookie, this rookie, you see who's done better. The record is worse with the Chicago Sky than it is right now for the Indiana Fever.
Double-double is the dumbest stat in sports. I remember when they first started coming out with it. I want to say it was like maybe late 90s or 2000. It was ESPN doing their bullshit again, creating news instead of reporting news. They started saying he had a double-double. He had a double-double. Shaq is 7'1". He better have a double-double.
Yeah, for real, right?
Karl Malone, 6'10". He better have a double-double. I mean, centers and forwards used to average 10 rebounds for years. And no one said, oh, he averaged a double-double. Maurice Lucas averaged a double-double, 12 and 13. Whatever it was. It's the dumbest stat in sports. Double-double means nothing. If you're a center, you're a power forward, you should get 10 rebounds a game.
When you have
if you're any good offensively, you should get 10 points a game.
Exactly.
If you change it to, 20 and 15, now we're talking.
And that's true.
Double-double, that ain't shit.
Just 10 and 10, just to break the threshold.
Angel Reese is a perfect example. She got more double-doubles than any other rookie. She's averaging 11.2 points or whatever, and 11 rebounds. Ooh, but you throw in her shooting percentage. Well, she better get half her rebounds.
Shooting percentage is terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible for a forward. And she's 6'3". She's 6'3". That's tall for a girl and pretty much the size of a guard in the NBA. And most guards, some of the guards. But anyway, I don't, you know what? It's not even taking a shot at her. Just from the eyeball test, I don't see her as being anything special. The way she misses shots that are right in front of her, I don't see her being anything special. See, Caitlin is the reason why people are watching, and because of what she had done in college and the way she had done it. I'm still hearing people talk nonsense about, well, you're talking about a super team. Well, that team had nothing but freshmen on it, even though they're over-exaggerating, as if a college team can't have nothing but freshmen and still be better with that Iowa team, not known to be a power program at any time in women's basketball, has this one girl everyone knows is a star and she's still winning games. Remember that Fab Five in Michigan that played for the men? They were freshmen still beating all the seniors and beating juniors and all those teams that were considered good teams.
Cardoso was not a freshman, and she was dominating that game. She's 6'7". Take Cardoso off that game, it's a different game.
Completely different game. But that's what we have right now. It's a bunch of nonsense, but it's going to continue, and people are going to still throw the race card out there because they just can't get over it. They can't get over this girl who keeps her mouth shut. And now they're using her for so many different things. I'm talking about even these talking points some of these sports shows are talking about. Are they using her to advance their racial agenda? Are they using her to really kind of side-eye the LGBTQ community? Where are they getting this from? How all of a sudden pumping her up to being to what she really is, interfering with that or trying to upstage them because she's not a lesbian, she's straight. So she doesn't, that's what's upsetting the WNBA. And then she's white, that's upsetting the WNBA. That's insane.
I want to give props to Serena Williams.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you saw her comment. She said if they're negative, it's because they can't do what you do. And she came out in support of Caitlin Clark. So props to Serena Williams for recognizing everything for what it is.
And I've been down with Serena for a long time since her and Venus came up on the scene.
But Serena and everything she has become goes against what they're saying about Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, exactly.
How did Serena become a mega superstar?
Superstars.
Some put her in the top 5 of athletes all time.
Yep, and deservedly so.
With Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky and whoever. I mean, if that's not respect, come on now. And guess what? She's black.
And the endorsement she got. Her and Venus were getting those endorsements until Serena became that player that just superseded everything and transcended everything about tennis. And, there was even somebody, they go on the social media platforms, and I know you can't take everyone serious on social media. And they talked about how, you just can't, because you just listen to, you can just, if you have a brain, you can see the agenda, you can see where they're heading with their comments, and it's not much ado about nothing but their feelings and their hatred for whatever's going on. And I read one this morning when someone was talking about how, they mentioned how Caitlin Clark is being treated, and I mentioned those things I said about the LGBTQ community and the racism it looks like is going on and bigotry in the WNBA. They're like, well, the white people did that to Serena Williams. And I was like, yo, bro, you do all of this reminiscing and talking. Why don't you just bring out a clip that lets me know? They bring up an article about how she got booed. And they just saw that she got booed. You can tell they didn't read their own article. But when you read the article, and I remember the article itself anyway, at least the premise of it, and it was when she decided to come out. They booed because they thought she was faking an injury. I think Venus was the one who didn't go. But they booed them because they were dying to see the prodigies and didn't get a chance to see them. So they booed because of that. And then the next day when they came back out, Venus sat with her father, and they booed because of that, because she wasn't going to be out there playing. That's why they booed. It had nothing to do with race. It had to do with, man, I can't wait till they play. It's like these NBA games. Man, LeBron's coming to town, and when MJ was playing, he's coming to town, and then he decided to call out sick. He can't play tonight. You're like, what the hell am I out here for? You don't want to be out here.
Tiger Woods didn't change.
Tiger Woods, another one. God.
What are we talking about here? Come on, man. It's like I said last week. If Juju starts splashing threes from the logo, if in their senior season she's threatening Caitlin Clark and Pete Maravich, she's going to be getting the same attention Caitlin got.
Yeah, exactly. Even more so now because you now see it and it's more focused on them to begin with now. People are watching female college basketball more now because of what Caitlin has already done. They just don't want to give Caitlin credit at all for anything. And I don't think she cares about your credit. She just wants to play ball. She's the only one not complaining. Her fans may be complaining. These surrogates out there may be complaining. Other people are just criticizing her because they have nothing better to do and they're just jealous as hell. That's what's going on when it comes down to her. But hey, and she's the one that's just going out there playing, but it's opening the door now for even bigger opportunities for any woman who's going to do what she was doing or something similar when they come into the WNBA. Even on their ride with NIL now being what it is, women getting that big money now in NIL in college. But
yeah.
Man, I hate that it happens like this because you're supposed to be using sports as a diversion for the nonsense that happens in society, but now you're bringing your crap on the road and you're polluting the sports scene. It usually brought us together, but it's tearing, at least the attempt to tear people further apart. But regardless, the NFL still coming up next month.
I'm just thinking, okay, so maybe when Tiger hit the scene, they begrudgingly accepted him. But then after some time, he was fully accepted.
Yep.
Same thing. I don't even know if it's the same thing for Venus and Serena. I don't watch tennis like that. I can't say that. But I know that all three people are mega, mega superstars.
Yep.
Why isn't the WNBA welcoming or accepting Caitlin Clark?
Jealousy. You know what? I think it does have something to do with that LGBTQ nonsense as well. And I call it nonsense because you're bringing it into the sport. Now, if it's just something you're talking about in society, that's one thing. But when you have it in the sport, and it seems like it's so obvious, this is the reason why you're upset with her, in addition to her being white, and then you have these idiotic articles out there.
So you're saying she has to get a girlfriend, get a girlfriend, and get her pregnant.
They don't, like Brittany, Brian Griner, right? Come on.
I saw a video of Brittany Griner by a swimming pool with no shirt, and the lady who posted the video is like, I don't know if that's the lady on the video,
bro.
We talked about this before already, but like you watch the video and you're like, really, like there's nothing there, and but what she pointed out is I don't see no scar tissue, so it's not like anything was removed.
I don't know what the deal is there. I really don't even care when it comes to it. That voice though. Man, she about to whole soul train that deep voice. Come on, man. It's like Don Cornelius. Come on with that.
You can do Vincent Price on Michael Jackson.
Yeah, for real. Man. And I just hate that it all comes down to this, and it's a matter of race, not just skill. And I know that kind of comes into sports every now and then, but so much on a place where no one cared about before, now they do care. And now they're $50 million in debt, this year, even more so than they were in previous years because of the chartered flights. Individuals will go on and get their money, but I guess the legal world is going to ultimately get their money, just not right now. You just have to do the Jeff Bezos Amazon thing. Just keep working at a negative, and then ultimately just looking at the plan, knowing that it's going to eventually catch up and supersede what your plans were, and it did. So that's what I think this is going to be. The NBA, I don't know how much they're still subsidizing because I think it's $10 million. $10 million is not a huge amount if that's the subsidy that the NBA is giving the WNBA. But it was a failed model for 27 years. Now it's not. But yeah, enough of this basketball right now. We have the finals coming up tonight, which may be the final game after all between Dallas going up to Boston and Boston trying to.
So what's your prediction?
Gotta go with Boston. I like to see Luka play defense on the road, man. Hey, I like to see another game. Bro, that was pretty impressive what he was doing out there compared to what he wasn't doing before. He was being effective. And then the score at the end shows how when he had started off, the rest of them kind of maintained and made better. And that's why you had that big blowout on the road. There's been a lot of blowouts in the playoffs.
I didn't get to watch the game Friday night. Was Patrick Mahomes courtside again?
No, I don't remember seeing him there. I didn't see
he gave up. He threw in the
But that's another game I turned away from because it was get out of hand, man. So it was get out of hand. I was like, what's going on YouTube these days?
No, but I'm saying he was there in game 3. They kept showing him. He was celebrating, clapping. And so I was just wondering if he was there because that gave me another reason to go for the Celtics. But I want to see some drama, adversity, man. I want to see
In this
game
game?
6. Huh?
In this game tonight?
Or in this game, in this series, I want to see game 6.
This game may be it. This game may be it. The series may be over tonight.
I know.
But
I got the Celtics, but it wouldn't disappoint me if the Mavericks won.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Because I want to see some adversity and see how players respond.
Yeah, and that's true. Hey, it happens in Tim Hardaway turns out to be that difference. Hey, that's a part of that that element you weren't expecting. You know, in a blowout, it's easy to get them, not easy, but for him to do what he hadn't done in the past, and doing it right now, to come in this game and do something and be the reason why they eke it out if they do eke it out on the road, bro, that's a lot to be looked at. And then
I think if Porzingis plays, even though he'll be limited, what he does would be such a big boost.
Yeah,
you know, he spreads the floor defensively. He takes away alley oops.
Yep.
He gets rebounds. I don't know how his mobility will be, but I think again the things he does will really give Boston a boost. But if he doesn't play, it could be very interesting.
Now, look, do you really give him a whole lot of time? Because when he came back after 38 games, he had 20 minutes and 20 points. He was effective as hell, and he was pretty much the reason that set the tempo for the rest of that game. He probably doesn't need a whole lot of time. If he gives you 12 points, man, I think they still win pretty damn comfortably.
Yeah, like I said, I don't expect him to hustle back on defense and block dunks and do things he did in game 1, but he's going to spread the floor. If he gets a catch and shoot, splashes a 3, you know, he helps the team.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, see, I didn't want to look forward to this game, but after what Luka had done, man, I'm like, you know what? Defense, let's see if he's keeping it up on the road. You know, is this a one-off? I hope it's not, because, you know, if you know your team needs you like that, man. And you know what? The speech that Jason Kidd gave before the game, he was calm as hell, Jason Kidd, in the locker room, man.
I didn't see it.
He's like, we're not losing, man. He said, yo, we're not going to lose.
They played Friday, right? Not Saturday?
I think it was Friday. I think it was Friday.
I can't remember. I was busy with the wife on Friday.
He was like, yo, bro, we're not losing, man. And his team believed him. And they went out there like they had that belief. And shoot, if he can keep his calm, and I think you get your signal from the top, and you see how he's calm under all this pressure, a guy who's been there, done that, who's been legendary in the league. You know, and these guards that are controlling this team, he's a guard, fellow guard. Man, it played out the way he wanted it to play out, man. Let's see how it does it on the road. Maybe there's a kind of a renaissance team we have with Dallas now. With that if they can.
Shout out to my coworker. Her name's Kyla. She's a Celtics fan. I asked her if she's worried about tonight. She's like, hell no. I said, well, the reason I'm asking is because Keyshawn Johnson and Paul Pierce both said this is a must-win for Boston. And then I said, and Keyshawn said, if the Mavericks win tonight, it's a wrap. Series over. Mavericks win in 7.
Really?
And so I told her that. She's like, Keyshawn don't know what he's talking about.
Come on. Whew. I don't know, man. The only one that must win game 4 tonight is Dallas. They must win in order to have a game 6. That's it, man. The Celtics can lose and still play another game. Yep. But in any event, man, we can move on to the NFL for the little bit of time we have, man. Well, the NFL camp start up next month, and we're already getting that news that comes in. Jaden Daniels signed his contract, and I think we mentioned it last week, but Trevor Lawrence signed his humongous contract over 2 years. Yeah, right? Millions of dollars, man. But he has
earned that. Did he earn that much, though?
I'm starting to wonder now because, look, I'm not in that room, but I only go by what I see. You know, he did well in his rookie year, like a rookie's supposed to do. He did okay. In the second year, he went way ahead of schedule. But then in his third year, he did what he
regressed.
You know, he regressed from his second year. And man, now you go into this 4th year, now with a new contract, and he's not the kind of guy that looks like he's going to lay down. His traits from what he had done in college up until now, being here in Jacksonville, the news that comes out about him, always just looked at as a good guy, family man, the whole 9, young, married guy. It looks like he's going to put in the effort, but doesn't guarantee anything is going to turn out better than what it did last season. You have more weapons to work with, but it's still going to come down to you. Everything comes on your head, whether Jaguars win, lose, whatever. But, man, he got the huge contract. Jaden Daniels up there with the Washington Commanders has his contract. And here we go. He's here. They call him great already. He's like, no, not right now. Just wait. Not yet. Not yet. He's telling them. So
Did you hear about Justin Fields?
No, I had not.
They're saying his throws are inaccurate in practice. I'm like,
inaccurate.
What did you expect?
I guess they're using the same newspaper from last year. They read this story. Inaccurate. Nothing's changed. I feel bad for him because I don't think he's one of those bad guys. But man, if you don't have the talent, you don't have the talent. What's going to be next? You making him a wide receiver? Like Terrell Pryor when he came in from Ohio State, great athlete. Made him a receiver in Oakland.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he can be a wide receiver.
No, he doesn't have that speed, man.
Slash, Wildcat.
That's situational. You know, he'll get battered and bruised. And college football now, I guess we'll finally end it with that. Caden Proctor, as we probably know or didn't know because we hadn't talked about college ball in a while, goes back to Alabama after just for a little while going up to Iowa, which is his home state anyway, and then changing his mind. And then he explains now what had happened. He felt betrayed by Nick Saban because when he went to his recruiting, he didn't tell him that he was planning on leaving. Like these coaches will tell you. But then when he left, he said he just felt that he got into his emotions about it and left it. Even though Nick Saban afterwards told him, you know what, come back. Even though he was already leaving, you need to come back. He said he didn't want to hear it from anybody. And then he had to think about it. Now he's back with Bama. He's going to have to anchor that line since Lathan is gone. J.C. Lathan is gone. And at 6'7", 260 pounds, now he's sophomore and a true sophomore at that. Probably a first rounder waiting to happen as well. He was a bit of a turnstile in the beginning of the season last year. Now, was it LC Lathan? But anyways, he's at Alabama now. So we'll get to see how he does this upcoming season with Du Bois coming from Washington now to Alabama, who I thought was an excellent choice as a coach. We'll get to see if the Crimson Tide can pick up where they left off, even though Georgia's Kirby Smart's crew probably are the leaders in the clubhouse with that number one ranking going into the season. We'll see.
Where do they lead off? They didn't make the playoffs. Or did they? Yeah,
pick up where they left off because of the talent pool they have. In terms of the overall talent pool they have, they still have their quarterback, which I'm still Carson Beck, a Jacksonville guy, and a whole nine, man. I was just disappointed last season. I didn't see him taking that next step, even with that great talent around him. Mac Jones, when he was here in Jacksonville as well as a kid, playing high school ball, he wasn't making strides either, but you saw with that talent he had around him in Alabama the last season he was there. It all stepped up, made himself a Heisman Trophy candidate, got his receiver the Heisman Trophy, period. So you saw the movement, you saw the talent just kind of start flowing. I hadn't seen it with Carson Beck yet. Let's hope this offseason has done something for him. Plus adding more players, including Trevor Etienne from the Florida Gators in that backfield now. But we'll talk college football another time. But until then, the NBA Finals Game 5 is on tonight. Dallas is trying to stay in the game by taking on the Celtics, and the Celtics trying to hang that 18th banner inside their garden. So he's biased. I'm Trav. Until next time, well, deuces.
Adios.